I want to tell you a story. I want to tell you a story about a person's voice, a voice that came to the surface that created an entire movement that's touched parts of the planet, and the movement is around dealing with childhood sexual abuse. Why is it that it's so hard for us to embrace the fact that sexual abuse happens in a normative state in our culture? What holds us back? We better figure that out, because more and more people are going to end up taking their lives, entering into all kinds of dysfunctional states if we don't do this work. What are we going to do about it? We need people who are watching this video to become involved in this work. We really need you. Because otherwise, right now, just think about this for a second. Right as we're making this film, right this very second, some child somewhere is having the worst moment of their life. Right this second. Now imagine this. As they try to tell their story, somebody puts a hand over their mouth.
When you talk about abuse or talk about rape, it is seen as sex, like just sex. Yeah. And I'm like, it can't be just sex if you go through, if afterwards you go through hell.
I went to court, I went through all that. He was, he ended up in jail, but it never ceased with me. Like, I thought that would be closure with me. It wasn't closure whatsoever. I went through all that process. Nothing happened. Nothing felt good about doing that process.
The Gatehouse is a place where people come to tell their stories to get strong again. That's what the Gatehouse is.
I'm 53 and I was abused around 3, so it's colored my life, my whole life. And coming to the Gatehouse, I found a place of comfort and a place of hope.
I was in therapy at the time, and my therapist mentioned the Gatehouse. And I remember calling, and I remember showing up for a group. And I remember walking up those steps, and it was the hardest thing because in my eyes, the shame is what held me down. And I didn't know what the Gatehouse was going to provide. I just knew it was a space where I could come and talk about it. I had no idea really what group was going to be. But I knew that I would be amongst a community where I felt understood.
Every single day, somebody goes through the experience of being sexually abused as a child. Every single day in this country.
Like, it's not the act, it's the after that you have to live with. The shame, the guilt, the not feeling one with your body, disassociated from yourself, hating yourself, blaming yourself.
And did you go through those things in your lifetime?
I did. I have high levels of shame, even now. Shame, I felt guilty. I blamed myself.
And how old were you when that first began?
8.
You were 8.
8 years old. Yeah, and I thought I was doing something to cause it.
The person that comes up those 5 steps, that comes into the house, who has been maybe assessed as depressed, having psychotic episodes, drug addicted, alcohol addicted, whatever. We don't see them in that light. We don't see them as broken people, but rather as people who have the capacity to transform their stories and their lives. And so we do everything based on peer facilitation, everything. And so that is a very different approach than maybe some of the standard clinical modalities that are out there. So that's unique to the house as well.
I didn't know why I was drinking and using other substances. I just thought, I was out for a good time. And, I got married and had kids and started a career. And so that out for a good time really didn't jive with what I was doing, so then I started hiding what I was doing.
I was still missing certain things, and that's when I decided, okay, I'll show up at the Gatehouse. And the Gatehouse, since I came to the Gatehouse, they gave me tools that have completely changed my life.
Because I was the guy I never wanted to be. I was the guy, say, I have most of my family are police officer. My dream was to follow them step, but instead I follow some other step. And I was angry about it because I could not fulfill my dream. And I didn't know why I was so much angry and shame of myself until I came here.
So a friend of mine, several years later, we were working together, and we were working in Keswick, which is quite a bit north of here, and he didn't drive. So on, I forget what day it was, I think it was a Wednesday, he would say, I have to leave at 3, and I have to be down at Lakeshore at 7, you know. So he would take the bus, and it was a 3-hour, you know, journey. And I was just amazed, like, what are you going? And he said it was a group, you know, like a help group. And I said, where are you going? What are you doing that you would go 3 hours on the bus, you know, to get down to this place called the Gatehouse? What's it all about? And he went, well, I was abused. I was sexually abused as a child. I said, and it came up, you know, me too. You know, so it was a Me Too moment. You know, it was a connection. That was it. It was somebody else, you know, that was doing something about it. And I just thought to myself, you know, I've stopped drinking now for a decade. I still have anxiety and depression problems, you know, and I finally made the connection that the childhood sexual abuse was bigger than I thought it was, and had an effect on my life and made me the root of the problem.
And in the house, we created programs that for the last 20 years, somewhere in the neighborhood of 20,000 people have been impacted by what goes on in the Gatehouse. 20,000 people, all related to creating a space and a process for people to come and tell the most horrible, horrific stories that have happened to them, but in such a way that they get strong again. And that's pretty amazing. That is pretty amazing. We're talking about an issue where people daily take their lives.
Even to this day, my mom and dad has never said they were sorry to me.
What does that make you feel like when you're...
Oh my God. It's a terrible thing to go through. I mean, I could start crying now because of it. It's, you know, for my mother and my father not to say they're sorry to their son that was molested by a cousin, that's a terrible thing to go through. And here I am 60 years old and I'm still having to go through this. My own parents can't even say they're sorry to me. Oh, sorry.
No, don't be. It's not. This is beautiful what you're doing. Don't be sorry.
I have gone through so much intensive therapy in the past 3.5 years, and still this has this raw emotion in me.
And what does it mean for you to be sitting in the Gatehouse when you get to talk about your story? What did it mean for you to go through?
Oh, it was fantastic. Just to get it out, it was such a relief. That was my validation. Just to be able to talk to somebody and get it out, and to have other people around me and they have similar situations that they've gone through, that's so validating to me.
Every single day, somebody goes through the experience of being sexually abused as a child. Every single day in this country. There's 1 in 3 females will be sexually abused by their 16th birthday. 1 in 6 males, just think of that, 1 in 6 males will be sexually abused by the time they hit 21 in Canada.
Teaching a group of 9 to 10-year-old girls, and we were done for the day. And
What were you teaching about?
I was teaching self-defense.
Right.
So I go in and I teach a series of classes with these girls. So I thought, last day, any questions for Deb? What would you like to share? And this one girl put her arm up, and she put it up so fast I thought, oh no, oh no, I'm in trouble, right? What's going to be? So she said, Miss, were you violated, hurt, or abused when you were a child? Is that why you teach self-defense? And I had that much time to decide to be authentic with 30 kids or to just say no. Yeah. And I decided, it was the first time that I just stood my ground and I said, yes, when I was a little girl, I was violated.
And coming to the Gatehouse, all those steps that are just 5 were absolutely difficult to look at and walk up, but empowering once you enter this door. And the Gatehouse itself empowers so many people and truly gives, when we say give voice, there really is no words to describe the impacts that the Gatehouse have on people's lives. And it's stepping stones within their journey. And this is a big stepping stone because the intimacy that is shared amongst these walls, when I talked about what it was like to grow up in a home and what safety looks like and what 4 walls can do for an individual, these 4 walls were the safest 4 walls compared to my home. These 4 walls are the safest 4 walls where I have shared. And I was amongst a community of beautiful individuals who were feeling safe and vulnerable and exposed, even sharing our darkest, most traumatizing moments. Tears, laughter, joy, nothing more beautiful than what these walls have offered. And for me, coming to the Gatehouse has been a gift, and I have never separated from the Gatehouse since.
What is so very important is to be able to be in a room with a group of other people who have gone through their versions of that trauma, to be able to tell your story in your way with your voice. And what automatically happens then is your voice comes back. The thing that was disappeared from you for years and decades in many cases is back. When that happens, it's almost like you're shifting back into a place of balance. The balance comes from the person sitting across from you going, that knowing nod. You do not get that in the same way if you're just in a one-on-one counseling. Yes, you have a great therapist, fantastic, great. But I've seen a difference when somebody looks in the other person's eyes who's also been down that dark, dark rabbit hole, and you get to say this about your story, and they go, yeah, me too.
What would you say to a survivor who's watching this stuff?
Definitely go get help. Definitely come to the Gatehouse. I would tell them that regardless of how bad you feel, these people are non-judgmental. And like I told one guy, I said, the Gatehouse is a safe house. You can't be hurt here. That's the core of our whole being. You can't be hurt here. So regardless of how bad you feel about yourself, trust me, there's people there that feel a heck of a lot worse about themselves. And come and talk, because that's the only way you can get better, is you can talk to people.
You know, I was the king of self-sabotage for so long. It's really, when I think about it, it's really hard and sometimes hard to fathom to believe that I am where I am now, never believing that that was possible. So, you know, I guess if I was to give a message to somebody out there, whether it be a woman or a man, it makes no difference. You know, I'm in my 60s now, and I really don't believe that, you know, what happened to us has to define us. And I'm an example of that, and I'm not afraid to say so. You know, and I will continue to do so because I've learned that by holding on to what I held on to for all that time. And yes, of course, it still hurts, but the only difference is with me now is that it doesn't own me, right? Sexual abuse can own you if you let it.
And I would never have imagined that I would be at this place where I find a place like this, where I can literally walk into the room and I can be my authentic self, because everybody here knows, they understand. I don't have to say much. And that is why it doesn't matter if I'm here as a placement student, I could never leave this place. So I always come back and volunteer and do stuff, and because I just love the connection.
Sexual abuse happens in isolation. The way out of isolation is in a group experience. That's where inclusion comes in. So I can feel safe. I'm talking to somebody, 5, 10 other people, and I'm saying, you know what? I was sexually abused as a kid. But I'm saying it from a position of strength now. That is very powerful. And the other thing that happens that's different from one-on-one experiences is my voice, when I share that in a group, it makes everybody else in the group stronger.
It's the last taboo. You know, we talk about a lot of other things, but you know, you hear things like, you know, and it's even the attitude towards perpetrators. You know, kill them, hang them. You know, all that type of stuff, and we have no idea what people have been through to do that. You know, for me, I'm on the path to forgiveness for my abuser, and you know, it's through coming to the Gatehouse that I've been able to get on that path, but many aren't.
When people are ready to come forward, what I wish is that they all had a place to come to like the Gatehouse when they're ready. There are so many people that would talk or share, but they don't have that place.
I actually felt so good just coming in and doing the interview. And that was without going to any groups or talking to anybody. Just the interview process. I thought, oh my God, this is great. I just love it here. Just the interview process alone was just fantastic. It uplifted me, leaving them, driving home, and I think, oh my God, tears are rolling down my face. I was like, oh, this is a great feeling. I actually felt, now I'm gonna go somewhere with this. I'm gonna start my healing journey. And that's what it was. Coming here that first day was my healing journey.
It's beautiful.
And it's not over yet.
No.
I'm getting better. I'm not better, but I'm getting better. And I'm feeling like so enlightened from, say, 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago. It's a great feeling.
It made me love myself because I hated the word, but I hated most myself. I was always mad at myself and I didn't know why. And the Gatehouse helped me to love myself.
I understand the fear. It is debilitating, and it's really the shame, and we feel we don't deserve anything more than what life has brought us. But every single person is deserving of all. Its beauty, its light, its spirit, its soul. That's the message that we have to get out. And that's the message that I hope other survivors hear, so they have that glimmer of hope. They are absolutely worth it. They are beautiful. They are loved.
Yeah, those are 5 hard steps, and but people don't realize is that those 5 steps are the beginning of a new outcome for you if you're willing to do the work for yourself.
So this is the room where people come together to rediscover their voice. This room was built by members of the community, many of whom had been sexually abused themselves as children. When we came upon this house, you literally, there was no ceiling, the windows were boarded up, and now it's a room where children as young as 4 years of age have been in this room, having an opportunity for their voice to come out. It's a room in which people in their teens, adulthood, seniors come to this very room and their voice is heard. And over and over and over, we hear things like, I wish I would have known about this place sooner. So what we're hoping through the work that we do is that people not only hear, but people from around the world find ways to create their own gatehouse where the community comes together in a way to deal with the trauma, really, of childhood sexual abuse. There have been people sitting on this very couch that have come from Bolivia, from Germany, from Australia, from England, from across the country. And we want to keep this going. We need to keep this going. In this very room, we began a program where men came to tell their stories. And I was actually told by a group of people that when we began that over 20 years ago, that they didn't feel that men deserved to have this kind of process. I'd like you to think about that men didn't deserve to have this kind of opportunity to sit and talk about the harm that they'd experienced as children. We were also told that you wouldn't be appropriate to have men and women in the same room talking about their experiences in terms of being harmed sexually as children. Today, 21 years later, those programs are vibrant. We are training people from all different areas in how you facilitate that process. And that began with a person's voice who had been harmed sexually as a child, willing to come and sit in this room and talk, and it's grown from that. So I invite any of you who may be watching this program to, in a sense, extend yourself to learn more about what we do here. Thank you.